Chris Gardner, once homeless, has today become a multi-millionaire. The sentence seems unreal, yet it tells one of the greatest stories of courage of our time. Not long ago, he slept with his son in shelters, in train stations, sometimes even on the cold floor of public restrooms. Each day was a fight against hunger, exhaustion, and humiliation. He had nothing except one promise: never to abandon his child. Where many would have given up, Chris Gardner chose to fight. Without a prestigious degree, without money, without support, he seized a tiny opportunity and turned it into destiny. His strength did not come from what he owned, but from what he believed was possible. His journey is living proof that one can start from zero, hit rock bottom, and still rise to reach the highest peaks. Chris Gardner is not just a man who succeeded. He is a universal symbol of hope, resilience, and the true meaning of zero to hero. Chris Gardner was born into a life shaped by poverty and violence. From a very young age, he discovered an unstable world where insecurity and fear were part of everyday life. His childhood was not filled with comfort or protection, but with silent battles. Yet, in the middle of this harsh reality, an inner strength began to grow. Early on, Chris understood that no one was coming to save him. He observed, learned, and endured. Every hardship strengthened a deep conviction within him. His life would not be defined by his past. Even when he felt invisible, he carried a simple but powerful dream: to become someone and to break the cycle. This first chapter marks the birth of a survivor's mindset. In the shadow of suffering, the man who would one day refuse to stay down was already being built. As he grows up, Chris Gardner dreams of a better life. He looks for stability, takes small jobs, and tries to build a future for himself and his family. For a while, he believes he is finally close to security. But reality quickly catches up with him. His investments fail, his income becomes unstable, and debts begin to pile up. Little by little, everything falls apart. Financial pressure destroys his relationship, and Chris finds himself alone raising his young son. Then, the worst happens. They lose their home. Overnight, they have nowhere to go. Father and son wander the streets, carrying their belongings in a simple bag. They sleep wherever they can, in shelters, on trains, sometimes even locked inside public restrooms just to feel safe. Each night is an ordeal, each morning a race against time to find food, wash up, and maintain a sense of dignity. But the hardest part for Chris is not the hunger or the cold. It is watching his child suffer. Still, he refuses to show fear. In front of his son, he stays strong. He turns despair into motivation. This chapter represents the darkest moment of his life, yet it is also where his greatest strength is born. At rock bottom, Chris Gardner makes a decisive choice: not to give up. No matter the struggle, he promises himself that he will fight until the end to give his son a better future. And that decision will change everything.
In the middle of chaos and uncertainty, Chris Gardner refuses to see himself as defeated. Even without a home, even without money, he keeps searching for an opportunity. One day, while watching well-dressed men walk out of an office building, he discovers the world of finance. He then asks himself, if they can succeed, why not me? That simple question becomes the starting point of a new fight. He earns an internship at a brokerage firm. The problem is huge. The internship is unpaid. For 6 months, he must work for free while still being homeless and taking care of his son alone. For many people, it would be impossible. For Chris, it is his only chance. Every day, he runs between the shelter, daycare, and the office. He arrives before everyone else and leaves after the others, working twice as hard to stand out. He learns quickly, makes calls relentlessly, and studies at night. The exhaustion is overwhelming, but his motivation is stronger. He refuses to let his son grow up in poverty. This chapter marks a decisive turning point. Chris no longer endures life, he challenges it. He turns a tiny opportunity into great hope. This internship is not just a job, it is the bridge between survival and success. And for the first time, in the middle of the struggle, a light begins to appear at the end of the tunnel.
After months of sacrifice, exhaustion, and uncertainty, the decisive moment finally arrives. Chris Gardner knows that everything is at stake now. Among all the interns, only one will be hired. Every call, every client, every effort can make the difference. He works with incredible intensity, as if his life depends on it, and in reality, it does. Despite the nights spent in shelters and the exhausting days, he never gives up. His determination impresses his supervisors. He doesn't look for excuses, only solutions. Where others see obstacles, he sees opportunities to learn and prove his worth. Then comes the long-awaited day. He is called into an office. His heart pounds as he holds his breath. They tell him he got the job. In that instant, everything changes. It is not just employment he gains, but a new life. The stability, security, and dignity he had been searching for finally become real. From there, Chris quickly advances in the world of finance. Thanks to his talent and perseverance, he eventually creates his own company. The man who once slept on the streets becomes a successful entrepreneur. This chapter symbolizes the victory of courage over hardship. Chris Gardner did not merely survive, he succeeded. He turned pain into strength and proved that with determination, even the most unlikely dreams can become reality.
Today, Chris Gardner is no longer just a successful businessman. He has become a global symbol of hope. After creating his own investment firm and achieving financial success, he chose to share his story to inspire others. Through conferences, books, and public appearances, he speaks honestly about his journey, reminding people that success is not reserved for the privileged, but for those who refuse to give up. His story touches millions of lives and is even adapted into a movie. But beyond fame, his true legacy is human. He shows that perseverance can break through any obstacle. This final chapter proves that Chris Gardner did not just change his own life, he became a light for everyone walking through darkness, living proof that someone can start from zero and become a hero.
The story of Chris Gardner is much more than a simple tale of financial success. It is a life lesson. Starting from the streets, without a home, without money, with nothing but love for his son and unshakable determination, he refused to let circumstances decide his destiny. When everything seemed lost, he chose to fight. His journey reminds us that success does not depend on where we begin, but on the strength with which we move forward. Every failure, every difficult night, every sacrifice brought him closer to his dream. From homeless to multimillionaire, he turned pain into power and despair into hope. Chris Gardner perfectly embodies the journey from zero to hero and leaves us with a simple yet powerful message. No matter how hard you fall, as long as you rise again, anything becomes possible.